Hello, ladies and gentlemen in YouTube land. It's me again, Milton. Some people call me Milton. Some people call me Milton. It's all in how you say it. It doesn't matter to me, as long as you say it with love. All right, let's get to it. There are a few things that you might not know when you go on your cruises that you can ask for, and it's free. A lot of people don't realize it, but it is free that you can get little odds and ends that you may forget or you may need when it comes down to your cruising. Depending upon what ship it is, you can ask for a mattress topper. A lot of times they'll take those like two twin beds and push them together, and when they push those two twin beds together, it has that crack in the middle, that kind of thing, or the bed might not be as soft as you like. So if you ask for a mattress topper, a lot of times that brings it together, and sometimes that helps with they gather in between when they push those two beds together to make it a bigger bed. So you may want, that's one thing you could ask like your cabin steward for, because your cabin steward is good for a lot of different things. And so if you ask, a lot of times they'll be more than happy to help you out. Okay. Another thing is like extra pillows. A lot of people think that pillows that you have that's on there that that's all you stuck with, but sometimes you can ask your cabin steward for extra pillows and they can help you out with it. If you're like me, I like little firm pillows or something like that. Sometimes they can give you something that's a little bit bigger. Sometimes they can give you some stuff that's a little bit more pillows to support you, when you're sleeping and stuff on that line. So little things like that you might want to be aware of that you can just ask for, and they'll gladly give it to you in most cases, and with no extra charge. So so be mindful of those things. Another thing is if you use a CPAP machine or something like that, you can ask for an extension cord. They do have extension cords a lot of times if you ask for them, and a lot of times they're not any charge for it. So you can ask for it, and then they'll make sure you got it in your room as long as you return it. Now, don't ask for it and then take it. Now, if you take it, they'll probably charge you for it. But just make sure that when you get it, you give it back by the end of your cruise. Because if you sleep with a CPAP machine and you don't have a way to plug it up that's close to your bed, that could be for a miserable trip. So in order not to have a miserable trip, you might want to ask about your extension cord for your CPAP machine along that line, because a lot of those things, the extension cords and a lot of those the adapters and stuff like that, they're banned from the cruise lines. So some certain cruise lines, they are banning them from them. So you may want to make sure that you have them when you go along that line. Now, that being said, sometimes you can ask for distilled water. Now, then that might be a little charge with that. It might be, but you can ask for it for your cruise. Enough to get you through your cruise. Depends on how long your cruise is and everything else, so you can ask for that as well. A lot of times now, when you sign up for your cruise, and when you're going through, it's going to ask you if you have any medical needs, if you have any allergies or stuff like that. That's the perfect time to answer those questions, because that way they can look out for you when you're on your cruise. So a lot of times they will look out for you. Have like when you go to the main dining room, or they may have a special menu for you, or they'll ask you if you have any dietary needs along that line. So you might want to look into those things like that. So again, when you're going, they may ask you if you need anything like for CPAP machines and stuff like that. They may ask you if you need any additional blankets or stuff along that line too, which is most of the time is free of charge. You can ask for those things and they'll look out for you most of the time. Okay. So make sure that when you're filling out for your cruise, you do take care of those medical needs that you may have on that. Okay. Now, one more thing that you may or may not know that you can ask for. You can generally ask for, I said the pillows, I said the blankets, but a lot of times you can ask for, believe it or not, you can ask, some cruise lines will give you a coffee maker in your room. You can ask about it. Some of them do have those, the complimentary, and you just plug them in, and coffee makers and the tea makers. So you can make your pot of tea, a teapot. So you make your thing of tea, and you can plug it in. And sometimes, depending upon the cruise line, they may or may not have it. So you may want to look into that as well. If you're a coffee drinker, like get up in the morning and you don't feel like going out of your cabin to go to and get you a cup of coffee or anything like that, and you may want to make you one in your room. Well, you can ask and see, or tea. You may can ask for that as well. Now I will tell you, and one more thing that I'm gonna throw at you. If you need extra towels, a lot of times they will give you extra towels if you need them. Just ask, and a lot of times they will give them to you with no problem at all. Now I will tell you this: your attendants that clean your room and your stateroom attendants that clean your room along that line. Now remember, they go on these cruises quite often, and so a lot of times you could ask them, and they'll ask them like, do they know of any sites that's on the places you're going to? They can also tell you a lot about your ship that you're on that you may or may not know. You may have studied some of your ship. People might have been on your ship, or whatever the case is, but they can tell you about some little odds and ends in the ship, some freebies. A lot of times they can tell you what's free. They can tell you little odds and ends if you ask them. Okay. Now also remember this too. They are hardworking people. So at the end of the day, even though they add gratuities in your stuff, you may or may not want to. Depends upon how good your steward is. You may want to look after them a little bit more. You might want to take care of them because they work hard. I mean, they work real hard. So they are some of the hardest working people on the ship, believe it or not. Because think about it, they work very hard, but a lot of times they're underpaid. Especially like the dining room staff and the waiters and the room attendants and stuff like that. If they look after you, you might want to look after them a little bit, even though gratuities are in there. But remember now that when you spread it out, because between the stateroom attendant and your dining room staff and other things on the line, that little bit that's added in there, if you really think about it, it's not a whole lot. So you may or may you might want to look after them just a little bit if they look after you. Take care of those that take after you. That being said, that leads me to my final thought. I always say, do unto others as you have them do unto you, the golden rule. So are you one of those that look after people in a good way, or do you look after them in a bad way? Do you set people up for success, or do you set them up for failure? Do you look after people to try and take care of them, or are you one of those that's always got something to say about something, but never a good answer for anything? Which one are you? Again, you do unto people as you want them to do unto you. Because the seeds that you sow will come back at you. You may not get them at that particular time, but later on down the road, you will get them. All right. Thank you so much for your time and attention. And if I said anything that helped you out, or if you enjoyed anything I've said, how about liking, subscribe, and then leave a comment at the bottom. If it's something that I liked, let me know. Something that I said that you didn't like, let me know. Leave a comment at the bottom. It helps me to grow as a YouTuber, as a new YouTuber. It helps me grow. It helps the channel to grow. All right, take care of yourself, and we'll talk to you soon. All right, bye-bye.